Today, I'm going to be analyzing the cinematography and its effect on the interrogation scene in which Billy first meets Frank in The Departed, directed by Martin Scorsese. The scene's cinematography does a fine job of presenting Frank Costello as an inherently superior person to Billy in this instance. So, let's get to it. Starting with the lighting. It's much brighter on Jack Nicholson, drawing our attention more to him than Leonardo DiCaprio, along with the brighter colors he is wearing as compared to Billy. He's very obviously the man in charge. He says,
Do you know who I am?
clearly thinking very highly of himself. He talks in an almost condescending tone, talking down on him, and doesn't feel any threat from Billy while feeling like he's rather the prime threat to him. Another interesting detail to note here is Billy's drink of choice, cranberry juice, suggesting that he possibly has a poor history of drinking and drinks cranberry juice instead, which, as noted earlier in the film, is a very feminine drink to the other guys. Frank, on the other hand, drinks straight booze because he can handle it, and that's the kind of guy he is, gritty and tough. He next says,
I'm not the cops. Not asking you.
this is a vague callback to The Godfather, when Vito says,
Why didn't you go to the police? Why didn't you come to me first?
another good thing to note here is Frank opens the door very aggressively, almost kicking the door open. He does not make any attempt to hold the door for Billy, who likewise holds the door for Frank's associate. Billy clearly has a higher moral compass, while Frank doesn't give a shit. This first shot of Frank, where the cinematography really takes clear form of presenting him as a powerful figure. The camera is positioned around his waist and tilted up at a low angle, which makes Frank look tall, brooding, and powerful. He's also set on the right side of the frame with a lot of space to his left. The spacing on the screen, combined with the low angle, implicates his authority over the room. This also presents why Billy is supposed to be inferior to Frank at this point. The camera is positioned around his head and tilted down towards him, making him look small and weak. Frank then says Billy is guaranteed to be killed by other gangsters, but with plenty of nonchalance, that he can easily stop it. This is the first shot of the scene that pulls back on the three, showing Scorsese's brilliant blocking with Frank off to the right looking down on everybody, his associate further away towards the door, and Billy far to the left. This creates a triangle of the three characters, and with Jack Nicholson's associate closer to Billy, it's as if they are closing in on him. Billy is stuck in the corner and on the ropes with no power. It's very obvious that Billy knows how powerful these two are because he just lets the guy shove him in the chair, take his shoes, and search him. While earlier at the bar, when the guy made fun of him for drinking cranberry juice, he slammed the fucking glass in his face and started beating the shit out of him. Now, Frank asks about Billy's father in a very nonchalant, uncaring tone. He asks,
How'd he go?
and very obviously does not give a shit. He's just trying to intimidate Billy. Once again, here we have the triangle setup as mentioned before. This time they're much closer to Billy and are very literally closing in on him in an aggressive manner. Frank now wants to search the inside of Billy's cast, even though it's very obvious nothing is going to be inside of it, and searching it is only for intimidation and causing pain. Note, casts do not break that easily, and Billy needs to get a better doctor. In regards to the lighting, Frank is illuminated by top lighting, leaving the rest of his body mostly obscured in the shadows. The lighting on Billy is head up with barely any shadows. The top lighting on Frank portrays him as an underworld boss, just like in the opening scene of The Godfather, when all the light was cast from the ceiling atop of the characters. Billy is fully illuminated because he's not fully immersed in this life, and he's just an undercover cop. One funny detail is Frank saying that he doesn't know what Queenum and Dignam do in their
I
department,
know what they do in that particular department anyway.
because at the beginning of the movie, Billy says to them that he has an idea of what they do there, and Dignam is very offended and believes that if he had an idea of what they did, then they obviously wouldn't be very good at their job. Now, Frank's going to beat the shit out of Billy with a shoe, which is completely unnecessary because he's already in enough pain. I mean, look at his face. There's no point in what he's doing. He's doing it for fun and to make sure Billy doesn't ever cross him. Note again that the camera is once again pointed up towards Frank, and here's the best part of the scene. After beating the hell out of Billy's wrist, Frank takes out $300, drops it on the table to get his wrist taken care of, and then it's just like, you know what? I don't need the rest of this, however much money, so I'll just give him all of it. Frank is insanely rich, and rich enough where the little amount of money does not matter to him, and he's willing to give it to someone else. This creates a false sense of benevolence for the character, thinking that if they do what he says, they'll get rewards like that, which creates a sense of loyalty out of fear of the character. And after all, fear is the number one method of maintaining power in the world of organized crime.